Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Under the Influence. Today we are joined with fellow entrepreneurs Aziah Thompson, Lelai Givens, and Keanna Lynette. So for today's episode, we're talking about feminism and the Black woman. So to start off with, we're just going to have everyone introduce themselves and what it is that they do as far as their business.
Hey everyone, my name is Aziah Thompson. I am CEO and head publicist of Thompson Topic Public Relations. I've curated this firm almost about 2 years ago, and what I do is I help clients reach their highest peak in whatever aspirations and goals that they have. So you guys can follow me on Instagram to find out more about me at Zay Capella.
My name is Lelai Givens. I'm the founder of Lovely Productions, and we produce media and events, so content for our clients as well as original content, and then events usually centered around entrepreneurs, creatives, and community involvement.
Hello everyone, my name is Keanna Lynette, and I am a business and life strategist. I help organizations, small business owners, and nonprofits, anyone who's just looking to live out their dreams. I help them to do exactly that, to go after their dreams and to live the life that they always imagined.
Awesome. And I'm Shaquierra. I'm the founder of Luxe. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about feminism. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but today's actually the Women's March. It's going around all over America and I think globally as well. So the first question is, how do you define feminism?
Are we going to do like a
Yeah, we can make it like a discussion. We can all talk about it and kind of jump into it.
Right. Okay. So when I actually first when I heard the word feminism, I don't know why, but first thing I think about is Beyonce.
That was literally
and feminist. The little word that they had in the song. But I really feel like the true definition of feminism is just hardworking women just really trying to make a name for themselves. So I feel like, which is why the woman is going to be so dominant in the business world, because that's all businesses are trying to do is make a name for themselves and establish themselves, and that's all women know how to do so great. And not only, but like in addition to that, so I'm like,
absolutely. I would kind of agree with that, just because even with like Beyonce and how you're saying, a feminist is someone that wants equal opportunity for everyone, but then also like you said, going out for what's best for them and as well as for everyone else.
Right.
Making it for themselves.
So I would say that when I look at modern feminism, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would consider myself a feminist when taking that into consideration, because I feel like a lot has changed from like the first wave of feminism back in the 1800s, like when it was all about, just equal rights in terms of even abolishing slavery. Like they were very big on just human rights, really, and I felt like that particular feminism I related to more because I've always had a heart for just the equality of all mankind. But today, honestly, I feel like it's kind of interesting. Like I feel like in order to be a feminist in the modern sense, like you have to take on certain ideologies, such as maybe even I'm getting political, but even like pro-choice and I'm pro-life, and so there are certain ideologies that I don't necessarily adhere to or agree with, rather. And so because of that, I feel like I'm not the modern feminist, but I am all about equal rights for women. I'm for the equal pay and a lot of, so many of the things that they do stand for. I just don't want to feel like I have to be pigeonholed. And I feel like today, to be a feminist, like you're almost being pigeonholed, like you have to believe this and you have to believe that and you have to believe this. And it's just like, wait. But like I still support, the male man. Like I'm still, I feel like we can be stronger, we can be equal, we can be powerful, but also still be supportive of the advancement of men as well, because I see it as a partnership. And so when I look at it in that sense, I have to say that I kind of carve out my own little peg, if you will.
I do believe that women can pretty much do anything they want to do, and I feel like in a society where, yes, it's been like male dominated mostly, there has to be advocates for it, just so that everyone kind of has a support and just has that momentum to be like, yeah, we can't do it, you can't do it. So it's like, I feel like I just feel like anything that a woman wants to do, she should be able to do. Like,
Absolutely.
nobody else should be the one dictating, you know, what happens in your life. So whether that's necessarily feminism or not, it's like, just depends on, I guess, how individuals define it.
I agree, because to add on to that, you know, as a woman and black women at that, we have to have our own voice. And it's just so hard to depict that out of all the concepts that are coming up, being brought up around us. It's just like having a stance for yourself and believing in what you want to believe in and going hard for what you want. I feel like that should be the new concept of feminism for females, low key, you know, because that's all we try to do.
I feel that there is a dichotomy between women's issues and racial issues.
Well, this question actually kind of reminds me of this Africology class I took, and we were talking about the stance of the black human body being, right? Just like the human of being. So I feel like the women issues and racial issues, it kind of goes hand in hand because, you know, women fight hard through everything, whether it's going to be us being women, us being black, us being white, even I made that differentiation earlier, us having long hair, curly hair, us having a business or not having a business. It's going to be issues in different ways and we have to fight through that regardless of what it is, you know. So.
Yeah, I feel like women as a whole, they can all kind of relate to the struggles and issues of being a woman as far as like, you know, how they're treated by men or like if they have male bosses, whatever the case is. But then like you break it down even more and it's like there's a difference between white women and black women, how like they have different struggles that they might not be able to relate to on like a deeper level. So it's kind of like I just feel like there's like levels to it. It's like we can relate generally, but then once you break it down, there's very different.
There's still like a differentiation
Right.
between the two struggles.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that the women's issues and
And women's empowerment.
and women's empowerment is supported in the black community, especially with everything that's been going on lately, like in the news? I mean, we just had the Bill Cosby, and we also have R. Kelly. How do you guys? What's your stance on that, Rudy?
Okay, so on one side, yes, you do see a lot of the Me Too movement, right? And I'm for the Me Too movement. I do feel like it's time that, you know, people be held accountable for their actions. If they're taking advantage of women, then it needs to be put out there, and they need to be held accountable. And so I'm glad that, you know, that's coming to the forefront now. And people feel more comfortable with coming out and saying, hey, I was assaulted, I was a victim, and now being able to give voice to their power, right? Owning their power as a woman and the rights that they have. I think that's important, right? So I think the fact that we're able to now deal with it in that space is empowering for women, because there was a time where they felt like they shrunk back, you know, and you felt as if you couldn't come up and be honest about what happened to you. So I think that is progression.
I feel like the black community does support, you know, the women empowerment issues, but you still do have that little percent that still disrespects, you know. We still got that little percent, well, maybe she deserved this, or, oh, he got away with it for so long, so can I, or you still have like the little slang of the name calling and things like that. That all goes under the disrespect of not respecting the women empowerment, because if you did, you wouldn't even think before, not you, but men would even think before they say things like that, you know? It's just like, I feel like you have that higher percentage where it's support, but then you still have that little 1 or 0.2% where it's just like, they still down in the barrel, and they don't understand it yet. So it's just like, not the best of both worlds, but you do have two sides there.
I completely agree, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I do feel like, particularly as it pertains to the black male, like I really feel like that's where we could use even more support, because I feel like we do well within the black female community because we support each other. Like I am constantly collaborating with other women entrepreneurs, and I feel like we do well with collaborating. And I think that's why we even tend to outpace some of our counterparts, our black male entrepreneurs, because of the fact that we're so supportive of one another. But you're right, when it comes to, you know, in some cases, not all cases,
right,
but
especially in the entrepreneur world, because there's definitely businesses that are women that's getting a lot of support, like makeup artists, we have bakeries, we have graphic designers out here, all black women, all female orientated, all great, nice, kind-hearted women that's getting respect and, you know, support from not just the black community either, from all sides of the community. So,
definitely.
yeah.
So when you guys see like things like the R. Kelly, like with his allegations and things that are happening, and how the women are coming forth, and now he's kind of spearheading like a new video that he's going to be putting out, where he's kind of he's putting out like his response to them and kind of trying to discredit that. How do you feel about that? Like, because that's not really supporting the Black community, but I mean that's kind of like once in a not necessarily once in a lifetime, but it does happen. Where I definitely agree with you guys both. We're definitely making strides, but there's always those few that are, always on
lagging.
Yeah.
I feel like on the empowerment side, like both of you said, Black women are very supportive of each other.
Yeah.
I feel like there are like a lot of positive things out there, positive movements, even with like the natural hair movement. I feel like that's like one of the really big empowerment things for Black women. But also, it's like, I don't know, I feel like there's some type of complexity when it comes to like women's issues. Because I feel like, for example, how you brought up R. Kelly, a lot of the victims were Black women. And it's like when you read like the comments on social media and whatnot, you have a lot of people like, they're definitely not the majority, but it's way too many of them. And some of them are Black women who are like trying to justify, I don't know, like R. Kelly's side, or like because he's like a huge like icon.
Yeah, because I've been seeing a lot where they're trying to say like that was the price of fame, but like
it's like
yeah.
So I don't know, like I don't know how you can empower like your sister, but at the same time like tear them down for something that happened to them because you want to like keep this
whole thing going.
What issues have you personally faced as a Black entrepreneur?
Okay, so I can start off by saying, just by like personality, I'm like, I guess, the other people would say, the stereotypical Black girl, nice, loud, bubbly personality, don't really care what nobody think, and whoever is going to be my friend or vibe with how I vibe, and that's how it is, because that's exactly how I am. So it's just like being able to establish that type of personality inside of the entrepreneur world as a Black female, while letting them know like, well, I'm not like the hood rat that y'all see on TV, but like this is how a angelic Black person carefree would act. So it's like, if you're gonna say that you're down with the Black community or you're gonna support me, then it's gonna be like, I'm here. So it's like kind of hard to establish that in the entrepreneur world, especially on how businesses run. So it's like, you don't want to have like an on and off switch because that's kind of fake, you know what I mean? So like, you want to keep it to an extent of where there's going to be a good ground level, you know what I mean, to where you could establish yourself as an entrepreneur. And I say that's kind of like a hard challenge to do in this business because there's a lot of tough competitions out there, and especially as a Black woman, as we mentioned before, it's hard to just even establish our name and being here at all,
Especially when people already have like that pre-prejudice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like a lot of the obstacles that I've had, I feel like a lot of it is just about experience and kind of just like learning from things that have happened in the past. So it's like, okay, I know when I interacted with this person before, like this is how it went. So next time if somebody's similar, like I'll come like this. I don't know, just like just kind of like taking notes and just kind of planning in advance and just being prepared for kind of anything and being okay with whatever the outcome is, as long as I know that I did what I could do to make it the best,
Absolutely. Those are all really great tips that you guys just gave. But so if you're talking to someone who has kind of been beaten down from everything that's been going on in like the world and people trying to tell them no, how do you what would your advice be to like keep on going, keep like how you said, look at your, I think you said return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your return on investment and kind of really like believing in what your like the outcome will come. You just have to keep on pushing. What would you guys' advice be?
I don't want to overpower because I know sometimes I can talk too much. So
That's what I said.
So I try not to overpower, but I mean, the first thing, again, is going back, like I talked about, going back to your foundation, going back to your why. And then, you got to ask yourself, like, why, like, again, why are you doing this? And, like, are you in it for the long haul? Yeah. Because if you're not, you need to establish that early in, because in no place does it says entrepreneurship is easy, like it's a piece of cake, or any of those things. And it's definitely not an overnight success. I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and she was frustrated. She was just like, I've been doing this, business now for this however long. Ultimately, it was really only since the summertime. I mean, she's been building, going through her education piece for the last 10 years to build up to this point. But as far as pushing it, it's really only been the summertime. And we were talking, and I was saying, so how can you be frustrated? I said, you just now, you're just now making those moves to really go at it hard. And the reality is you get out of it what you put into it. Absolutely. And so you can't complain about, oh, woe is me that this is happening, when like this is part of the process. And I think you got to ask yourself some real real reflective, probing questions, such as, am I doing the best that I could? Where have I missed the target? Like, what could I be doing differently? I really feel like an entrepreneur has to go back and evaluate themselves and evaluate the decisions that they're making, and evaluate their goals, and making sure that their goals are in line with what they really, because a lot
of back thoughts from you even had it, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
set your goals out and stay consistent.
Yeah, I feel like how you were saying, how it's a process and nothing happens overnight. Like a lot of it is just time. And over time, you should see consistent growth. And if there's not growth, then there's something that you could be doing better.
Yeah.
So I feel like you shouldn't necessarily go in, like you have all these goals, whether it's you want to make this amount of money or you want to have this many clients, whatever the case is, like you're not going to hit that immediately, but as long as you're getting closer and closer, then you're on the right track. Right. And I feel like also whatever your business is, your sole goal can't be necessarily just to make money, because it's like
it's not what comes like that.
You have to have passion behind it. You have to have purpose. There has to be like a why behind it. Like, why are you doing this? And like, is it to bring yourself fulfillment, to bring others fulfillment? Like, if you're just making money, then I don't know. Like, obviously everyone wants to make money, but there's a difference between like having just a job and like having, like
make an impact.
Yeah, because I feel like the entrepreneurs who are successful, they all have some passion, some goal, some mission. They have something like personal invested into it,
Yeah. So basically, to summarize, what you guys are saying is, as long as you have the hunger for it and you are really, really starving to make an impact, and you know what your goals are, you'll be able to overcome any kind of obstacle, as long as you stay focused and stay true to yourself.
Right. Actually, on that note, I don't think you were here when I was talking about, but Notes of Hope. It's a benefit concert that we do every year. And a lot of our performers, most of them are young Black students, or like kids between ages like probably 18-ish to like 24. And so one thing I've noticed is that when we go to venues, like we had this event, I feel like the owners of the venue sometimes are a little like, like they don't know what to expect, and like they see all these like Black kids in here, like, what are you guys to do? And I feel like, and I feel like we've like really surprised them, because it's like there's so much positivity that's there in the Black community. It just doesn't get highlighted as much as everything else, So it's like there's so much talent, there's so many people who are just so intelligent, so passionate. And it's like we put this on a stage for them to see, and they're like, oh, like wow, like And it's like
now it's like, oh wow, you actually filled the entire space.
Yeah, like it was like there are people out here who are like being productive. It's just like you guys just don't pay attention to it as much. I don't know, it's just not as interesting. Like so but it's like been really cool to see, because it's like after we use it, then they'll be like, oh, like come back. We want you to come back. We loved it. And it's just like I feel like that's a lot about staying true to yourself, because all the artists they stay so true to themselves, and it's like they're beautiful people, beautiful talents, and it's like just keep showing people what you can do, and then people will respect you.
Don't be afraid to do. Basically, you can say and plan all you want, but it doesn't mean anything until you do.
Exactly.
So,
I like to say this a lot too. Like, I can't be bound by fear, so I like to just kind of jump right into things. Sometimes I jump too quickly, but
you never know how to jump on me till you leave.
Yeah, exactly.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. So another question we have is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind for other young Black women?
Don't be afraid to be yourself. Like, and I know that seems a little cliche, but like in this day and time, that really means a lot, because like you have a lot of Black females just really just changing their ways and the shape of themselves, and not even like concerning the job world or entrepreneur world, but just like for females, just self-love, because like self-love is number one, and with that comes a lot of happiness. Like, you can't do anything in life if you're not happy with yourself, because then how are you going to give one thing 100% and you're not giving yourself exactly 100%? Yeah, so you have to stay true to yourself and just love yourself. You know who you are. You're lit, okay? You're Black females, okay?
I would just say, just kind of go for it. You have a goal, you have a plan, you have a vision. Just do it, you know. And along the way, you'll figure it out. Like you'll learn, and like you'll surround yourself with the right people, like-minded people. And it's like, as long as you know who you are, you know who the people who are around you are, you know who you can trust, you know what your purpose is. And that's like not something you figure out overnight either. But it's like, as long as you are just doing your best and doing it for like the right reasons, you'll be successful.
That's so cute.
So I do want to echo what was said, but also add to that, and embracing yourself, also owning your greatness, right? I think sometimes we get intimidated by how powerful we are, you know, as a female entrepreneur, and you gotta come out there and just do the darn thing, as they say, right? You know, own your greatness, be confident in the power that you bring to it, to your business, and know that all things are possible. Like, know that it's possible. And I wish I had time to share not my entire story, but my story, you know, because, you know, I came from a situation where people doubted me. I was looked at like the Black sheep of the family, you know, grew up in a very, challenging circumstances, but my dad was out of prison, mom, you know, single parent home, trying to take care of kids, right? And everyone thought I wouldn't make it. Everyone thought that, you know, she would be the least likely to succeed, and I proved them wrong, and I keep proving them wrong, right? And it's because I knew that more was possible than what I saw with my eyes. And so I want other women to look at my story and know that, okay, if she can come from very humble beginnings, first person in her family to graduate from college and then go on and get her master's at 23, finishing up her doctorate, started her own business, and no one, you know, in her family there to like kind of help that or show, you know, kind of lead the way, if you will, but still was able to overcome and break down those barriers. Like, if that chick could do it, then guess what? I can do it too. You can do it too. We all can do it, right? And so I want them to know that it is possible, that they could do whatever they put their mind to, and that they just got to be willing to own their greatness and go and do the darn thing. Just do it.
Definitely. Oh, well, but everything that you guys all said, to add on to that, I would say definitely keep in mind that dreams are meant to be lived. You don't just dream about something. Like how you said, you can't just have like a bunch of ideas and plans. You actually have to do it. Don't just say you're going to do it. Like, actually do it. Do it. And then I also want to repeat like a quote that my lovely friend Brianna here, you guys don't see her, but she's behind the camera. She's part of Love and Locks, and she's actually like our outreach coordinator. So a quote that she told me, and it's kind of resonated with me, is that God doesn't call the qualified, but He calls who He
qualifies.
Yeah, He qualifies who He calls. So like if you're speaking to God a lot, and if you're kind of like in touch with like your religion, I don't know, just kind of talk to God and just remember that dreams are meant to be lived. Anything is possible. Just go for it. Thank you guys so much for attending for like our episode of Under the Influence. I hope that you guys enjoyed this discussion, because I know I did.
Yeah,
I know that this was for everyone else, but I feel like I got a lot myself. kind of added in my own little questions in there, you know. Thank you so much. Do you guys want to just give them your Instagram handles, and I'll definitely put everything inside the links in the bio.
Oh yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at TTopicsPR. You can also follow me on Instagram at Zay Capella and on LinkedIn under Aziah Thompson.
And you can find Lovely Productions on Facebook or Instagram at Lovely Productions. It's LOVELEE. And then Twitter is Lovely LLC.
And you can follow me on Instagram, also Facebook, and Twitter. I'm getting back on my Twitter account, but but you can find me at Keanna Lynette, KEANNA LYNETTD.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you.